Michael's current challenge is how to deal with this mentally ill roommate. Despite his mental issues, he has an extremely high IQ. He possesses strong reasoning abilities and an exceptional memory. Due to brain damage, he doesn't require sleep at night. This means Michael has no opportunity to dig an escape tunnel. The only solution is to include his roommate in the escape plan. Michael asks him if he wants to escape prison and what he would like to do afterward. However, his roommate believes that he is just a mentally ill person, and it doesn't matter where he goes. He says that even if he escapes prison, he'll still end up in a mental hospital. These words leave Michael feeling completely hopeless. Time passes slowly, and Lincoln's execution is less than a month away. Michael has to search for opportunities to escape in this dire situation. One day on the playground, Michael obtains a bottle of chemical agent from John. He mixes the chemical agent with his and his roommate's toothpaste. He goes to Sarah's infirmary and pours the chemical agent into the drain. The mixture of the two chemicals creates a highly corrosive liquid. He uses the liquid to burn through the pipes, preparing for the upcoming escape. Every day, his roommate questions Michael about his missing toothpaste. Michael dismissively answers his roommate's inquiries. His roommate tells Michael that he is being fooled and mocked. He keeps everything neat and organized, and in such a small place, how can something go missing? It becomes clear that this guy isn't actually dumb, and Michael constantly tries to avoid his gaze. He always appears behind Michael like a ghost. Moreover, he discovers the secret in Michael's tattoo. He stays up late at night and lifts Michael's shirt to observe his tattoos. He becomes completely obsessed with Michael's tattoos and even records them in a notebook using his extraordinary memory. Michael is driven crazy by his roommate. This roommate will eventually ruin his plan. Sukar finds Michael and expresses regret. He wants to join Michael in the escape plan. It turns out that a few days ago, Sukri's close friend visited the prison. Sukra's friend informed him that his girlfriend has fallen in love with someone else, and they are getting married soon. Sukri is furious and calls his girlfriend to confront her. His girlfriend tells him that she's turning 20 soon and doesn't have time to wait for him anymore. Everything will be too late for Sukri after he spends 16 more months in prison. Sukar doesn't want to wait another minute. He wants to escape and save his relationship. Michael is thrilled to see Sukar change his mind. The urgent task now is to get rid of this mentally unstable roommate. Michael is surprised to find that his roommate has assembled the pieces of his tattoo on paper using his memory. Michael approaches the door and forcefully slams into it.
What are you, nuts?
When his roommate sees Michael covered in blood, an ominous feeling arises. Michael calls for the guards and accuses his roommate of having violent tendencies. Considering his mental illness, the guards take him away directly. Michael finally got rid of the mentally unstable roommate. Soon after, Sukra moved back in. Sukra observed the movements of the surrounding guards using a mirror. Michael unscrewed the screw from the basin, preparing to dig a hole. Sukra asked Michael why they were digging a hole here, corroding the infirmary's pipes. Michael explained that opening this wall was just the beginning of the escape plan. There are many rooms between here and the prison's outer wall. The infirmary is the closest room to the outer wall. The infirmary is a crucial exit for the escape. They need to create a passage from here to the infirmary. Michael took out a piece of paper to test the depth of the brick seam. Then he instructed Sukra to make some noise. Understanding Michael's intention, Sukra started singing loudly. Sukra's off-key singing drew insults from their fellow inmates. Taking advantage of the chaotic commotion, Michael kicked the wall with his feet. He created a hole in the wall big enough for one person to crawl through. The appearance of a guard silenced the prisoners. Quietly, Michael crawled out of the cell. This was only the first step of the plan. Michael still needed time to study the escape route. When Michael returned to the cell, he saw the warden sitting in his room. An ominous feeling washed over him instantly. He noticed the leaking screw hole. The warden didn't notice anything unusual, but he delivered even worse news to Michael. He received instructions from his superiors to transfer Michael to another prison, and it must be carried out tomorrow. Hearing this, Michael looked bewildered and desperately pleaded with the warden not to do this. But the warden remained unmoved, because he too was being forced. There is a powerful force outside the prison, as Michael's brother had mentioned. The vice president's brother was not killed by Lincoln. He was framed to take the blame. A mysterious organization fabricated surveillance footage of the crime scene and killed all the witnesses. They accidentally discovered that Lincoln's brother is Michael, who was imprisoned for robbery. They also learned that the two brothers were locked up in the same prison, and the mysterious organization seemed to have figured out Michael's plan. They immediately made a phone call to a woman who is the real mastermind behind it all. This woman ordered her subordinates to find the warden and threaten him with his deceased illegitimate child. They forced the warden to transfer Michael to another prison. Although the warden owed Michael a favor, he had no choice but to comply for the sake of his family. Michael didn't give up. He sought out D.B. Cooper. D.B. Cooper said that if he wrote an application and used an excuse about feeling unwell, it could be resolved. Because the application was rejected, there would be at least a month-long process to go through. During this month, no one had the authority to make Michael leave. Michael suddenly realized what to do and immediately followed the advice. The warden received the application, and he reluctantly admitted that Michael had learned quite a lot. He considered the process to be reasonable and in compliance, silently consenting to it. Michael initiated the escape plan once again. He asked Sucre to pretend to hang clothes as a cover while he squeezed into the gap in the prison cell's structure to search for a passage to the infirmary. Michael discovered that there was a cement wall blocking the passage. Due to regular and unpredictable roll calls, he didn't have enough time to break through the wall. Michael hadn't even made a few hits when he was called back, wasting his time. Just when Michael was at a loss, clever Sucre came up with a solution. The day before, in order to buy time to break through the passage, Michael needed someone to create chaos. By having the guards put all the inmates in solitary confinement, the frequency of cell checks would be reduced. Only then could Michael's escape plan proceed smoothly. He entered the prison's internal structure and climbed into the air conditioning room to cut off the power directly. In the scorching summer, the prisoners suffered greatly from the heat. Led by Teabag, the prisoners started a riot, insisting they wouldn't go back to their cells without air conditioning. The inmates joined in the uproar. As the guards watched the furious prisoners, they announced that they would all be placed in solitary confinement, then fearfully retreated from the cell block. Amidst the chaos, the guards forgot to lock the inmates back in their cells. Brad wanted to teach the inmates a lesson but was mocked by Teabag instead. Teabag said only people who couldn't make it as police officers would become guards. Unable to tolerate the mockery, Brad retorted directly. Teabag was instantly enraged and led the inmates to shake the protective door violently. The protective door began to loosen, and Brad and the guards prepared to leave. The cell door was quickly breached and destroyed by the inmates. Teabag found a keychain in the control room. This meant that all the inmates in the prison could be set free. The prisoners searched for an exit, and Brad sensed that something was terribly wrong. He pulled out his gun and tried to charge at the inmates to eliminate them, but his colleagues stopped him just in time. The prison was full of desperate criminals, and the guards couldn't compete with them. Helplessly, Brad had no choice but to report to his superiors. On the medical ward side, the prisoners learned about the riot in the cells and revealed their true nature. They first knocked out the guards and plotted against Sarah. Seeing the dangerous situation, Sarah quickly hid in a room. She blocked the door with a table, trying to call for help, but the phone line had already been cut by the inmates. Led by a young African-American man, they desperately banged on the door, with one person even reaching inside, attempting to open it. Sarah picked up a sedative and injected it into the arm of the inmate, causing him to quickly pass out. Meanwhile, media outlets were reporting on the rebellion at Fox River Prison, and the news quickly reached the governor's office. As Sarah was the governor's daughter, the governor hurriedly dispatched special forces to the prison. Michael and Sucre took advantage of the prison chaos to study how to break through the wall. They had to connect the passage between the infirmary and the cell block to prepare for their escape. Teabag captured a guard and saw this as an opportunity to teach the guard a lesson. He brutally beat the guard and then threw him into Michael's room. He kicked the guard, who instinctively covered his face, accidentally knocking over the loose basin. Seeing this scene before him, Teabag was completely dumbfounded. He finally understood why Michael always seemed so secretive. He was planning an escape. This scene was also witnessed by the guard. In order to break through the escape passage, Michael planned to use an egg beater to break through the half-meter thick cement wall. He hung a flashlight on a stand and covered it with a reflective cup made of aluminum foil. He placed a pre-drawn demonic pattern in front of the light, projecting the pattern onto the wall. Sucre was confused, thinking that only a hammer could break through the wall. Before he could finish speaking, Michael threw him a metal whisk. Sucre couldn't believe they were supposed to use that thing to break through the cement wall. Michael calmly explained that they just needed to make a few small holes in the wall to destroy it entirely. This is known as Hooke's Law. Although Sucre didn't quite understand, he stopped asking questions and skeptically took the whisk to make holes in the wall. Meanwhile, the guards and Teabag discovered Michael's escape plan. Just as Teabag was about to reveal the secret, he was silenced by the arrival of John. Hearing the commotion, Michael climbed out of the hole. Michael thought to himself that since Teabag was serving a life sentence, it would be convenient to have him on their side. However, dealing with this guard wouldn't be easy. On the medical ward side, the prisoners were desperately banging on the glass. The prisoners had ill intentions towards the beautiful Sarah. Seeing the door about to be smashed open, Sarah picked up a piece of glass, preparing for the worst. This scene was caught on the surveillance monitor by Michael. He told his cellmate that they must not harm the guards and quickly went to rescue Sarah. Taking advantage of the chaos, John and Sucra returned to the passage to make more holes. To prevent Teabag from harming the guards, John had one of his men keep an eye on him. John believed that the guard was the only bargaining chip to prevent the special forces from launching a full assault. Michael quickly arrived at Sarah's room, and together they escaped the infirmary through the ventilation ducts. They found a safe spot and climbed down. Just as Michael was about to escort Sarah out of the prison, they were spotted by a sniper. Sarah decisively stood in front of Michael to prevent him from being shot. Just as they were figuring out how to escape, a prisoner burst into the room. In a critical moment, Michael pushed Sarah out and told her to run. Michael managed to dodge the situation by lying on the ground, causing the terrified prisoners to scatter. Taking advantage of the chaos, Michael escaped back into the cell block. After seeing his daughter safely outside, the governor had no more concerns. Although there was still one guard left in the prison, the governor didn't care at all and immediately ordered a full assault. Sucre and John completed all the holes as per Michael's instructions. Next came the verification of Hook's law. Excitedly, they returned to the cell block and greatly admired Michael. Teabag wanted to kill the guard because he was serving a life sentence. This hole was his only chance to escape. Ignoring everyone's pleas, he cruelly stabbed the guard to death.